The views, information, or opinions expressed during this show are solely those of the individuals presenting them and do not necessarily represent those of That Fuzzing Rock Show or its creators and writers. Cancel context, not humor. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, so this one, this is the fourth episode of the Roving Culture podcast. Little frazzled today. Today's like been one of them balls to the wall, freaking.
It's been a bullshit day.
Bullshit day. Monday.
Full
fuck
bullshit.
Mondays. Fuck winter.
Yep.
Fuck cops. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Fully agreed.
So today's guest is Chris Lynch. Chris Lynch is what? Go.
Oh, that's me.
That's him. Look into his good eye. Is that the good one? Which one's the good one?
Is there a good one?
They both work fine.
All right.
It's just one of them slides more.
You can watch me and him at the same time, can't you?
No.
You're like a fucking chameleon.
There you
I
are.
wish.
Anyway, yeah. So we're at Dunkin' Donuts because Chris used to be an ex-cop, or you.
I used to be an ex-cop. That's
type
a
of
double
day
negative.
we're
He used-
having.
yeah, exactly. He used to be a cop. Anyway, oh god. Anyway, so we're at Dunkin' Donuts. What better place? Anyway, so how long were you a bastard for?
14 years.
14 years.
Oh. So,
I got hurt, and I retired. And so I have what they...
your feelings or like
Oh,
actual?
always. I'm a snowflake.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I have what is commonly referred to as Irish welfare.
The fuck is that?
Oh, that's my police pension.
Easy. Wokeness. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Fuck all that.
People don't give a shit, though. Anyway,
Irish welfare.
Irish welfare.
That's fucking great.
So how'd you get hurt?
It was two major injuries I had. One injury was I was actually in training. I was just out of the academy, and we got in a chase with a stolen car in Arbor Hill. And I bailed out of the car, and I chased one guy, and he went up a fence. And when we went to the backyards, he went up a fence, and he was holding on for dear life. And I tried to pull him down, and I yoked him off the fence and dislocated my shoulder. So I had to drag him out from the backyard with one arm.
You didn't
And
shoot him?
No.
You didn't beat him?
No, I didn't have to. He was crying.
I thought that's part of the, like stipulation.
And we refer to it as softening someone up.
Oh.
But no,
I've been softened up
he
before.
didn't.
Okay.
He didn't need to be softened up. He was malleable.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So then you haven't used your nightstick.
I didn't say
for,
that. I just at that time I did.
How many condoms have been on it?
On my nightstick?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You never hung up with somebody like in the doorway upside down and kind of just whoop, slipped it in?
No, we go raw dog.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. Splinters. Okay.
Well, it's shellacked, so it had a smooth surface, and
You rough it up a little bit. Okay.
Oh,
All right. So that was the one injury. What was the next injury?
we were on Henry Johnson, and there was a drug deal somewhere north of there on 2nd Street, and the dealer was being chased down, and he had a mountain bike, and he was riding really fast.
You were chasing him for drugs or to arrest him?
Yeah,
for it?
I had my money out. He wasn't paying attention. No, he's coming at me, and I jumped out of the police car to go. I was in the passenger seat. I jumped out to go grab the guy, and I got run over by my own police car because the guy was trying to back up at the same time that I was jumping out. So I got hit by my own door, and I got put on my back. And then I felt like, everybody's watching because it was a summer night. I'm like, I got to get the guy now. I can't not get him. So I get up, and he's coming right at me, and I tried to do like a body tackle Same thing. My shoulder just separated.
Come and ride for us.
I tore my meniscus. I tore my labrum. It was a mess. A couple surgeries, but I caught him.
He paid it. He paid for it though.
Oh, when he and I hit. I mean,
go.
it was he. Well, he did pay for it, but
Tune him up.
no,
real good?
no, are you kidding?
Softened him up.
Yeah. Or again, you could also use the term shabraken, which is the combination of a shellacking and a Donnybrook.
Okay.
It's a good,
Look at that.
that's a good
some
special
knowledge there.
That's a good special beating.
Oh, okay. So now, what would have gotten him out of that?
What would got him out of if he had gotten off the bike and said, "I'm very sorry."
Oh no! Like, what would have you accepted? Like,
What's a good bribe for a cop?
yeah, I'm looking at monetary.
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
Acceptance for.
It would have to
Is there a sliding scale? Is it per person? Is it? What's the issue standard?
I don't know. It's got. You have to look at it in the way of: do you want to? What would be worth losing your pension and going to prison for 5 years? I mean, it have to be. I need more. I would need a good amount of money for that to happen, or something. You know what I mean? I just.
Okay.
And now nowadays, the bribes are a lot rarer now. I would think, only because cops get paid a lot more than they ever did before, and
I don't know why.
body cameras. You can't.
Well, there's accountability now strapped to their chest.
Well,
so
that's it. That's exactly it. You can't. I actually. It's such a double-edged sword. If you speak to guys that were police officers 30 years ago, a lot of them get mad about they don't like the idea of a body camera. And I think part of it is accountability. Whereas I look at it in the way of, dude, it's protecting me just as much as it protects some scumbag on the street. Because somebody can't just come out and say whatever they want and blame you for everything. Because I spent plenty of time in internal affairs because so and so said you said this or you did that and that it didn't happen. And there's plenty of times that I thought I was going to be in internal affairs, and I didn't.
Gotcha. Well, now with cameras and everybody's got one strapped to them. Nobody can really put their phones down, or any that too. The cars have cameras, so it's
Listen, I'll tell you a funny story about.
Here we go.
About not. This is before cameras. I was working.
Here's your reward. You got
Thank you.
donuts.
I was working a detail, and the detail was paid for by SUNY Albany, and it was they called it the Party Patrol.
I want to see your light eyes up when you eat that donut.
And this Party Patrol is we got paid by SUNY Albany to be on the street in the college ghetto for it was like 6 hours every like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And so I was working it one night, and we had a house party. And
You had a house party?
No. We were sent to a house party.
Oh, all right.
And
Different.
We tried to get them to, open them up so we could go up to their second floor apartment and tell them, "Hey guys, quiet down." Because that's mostly what it was. It was like, "Hey, quiet down, stop being an ass, grow up." Well, they wouldn't answer. They kept their music really loud, and they turned off all the lights because they thought they were really slick.
That's tricky.
They thought they were tricky, but I was trickier. So what I did is I went around to the back of the house, and I knocked out one of the windows on their basement door, and I unlocked it, and I went down and I turned all their power off, and so they thought they blew a fuse, and when they came down to get the fuse, they got rolled, and subsequently ended the party. But it was just a nice little thing where people didn't know. The kid who was with me was a new cop. And he's like, "You can do that?" I'm like, "I did it."
Training day style.
Yeah.
It's
Did you ever see Superbad? Did you ever do that shit? Like go out and just shoot at the signs and shit like that?
Well, I think
Yes.
I think the statute of limitations is up on that. But there was again only implicating myself, but there was a bunch of us who had gone out and we spent the night at a place, a drinking establishment that used to be every Monday night was Dollar Welding, Dollar Miller Lights, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Sorry, and we went and played Civil War down in the Albany Bike Path. And we all went out and got extra guns that we had in our houses, and we played Civil War with each other, 20 gauge shotguns and 32 pistols, and we were just shooting out. And then as in the middle of it, joggers came by. And this is like 5 in the morning.
How many got killed?
None, but we stood around pretending like we thought we were slick because we were standing still like she was a T-Rex. Oh, I mean, if we're not moving, you can't see us. So yeah, there was that kind of shenanigans.
Okay, all right. What questions you got?
Well, we're gonna bounce back and forth. So also wanted to fulfill our music portion of the Underground podcast. Chris used to sing in a band called Wolfpack. You were the second singer after Steve Reddy.
Oh Jesus, no!
You're like 15th singer.
I was like the 5th singer. I was the 5th and last singer.
Well, you're after Steve, right after Steve, though.
Don Sullivan was first.
Right.
Then Steve. Then there was this dude who did one show, played at 288 with Wolfpack, and he had knit booties on. He had booties that went up to mid calf that were knit, and he rolled around on the stage and did all sorts of crazy stuff, and they got rid of him after that. Then it was Steve.
That wasn't Ritlu, was it?
No.
He used to wear those too.
Yeah, but he was after that because Ritlu did most of his Wolfpack hanging around right when Tim joined. Tim Rolfe. But yeah, no, maybe it was like third, fourth. But then Steve, and then after Steve left, I joined. I was hanging out with Drew and his then girlfriend Bridget. We were driving around in his Trans Am, and Dag Nasty. He put the Dag Nasty first album on it, and I was singing along to Values Here, and Drew said, "Dude, you want to sing for us?" And I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah, I do."
That sounds just like, yo, bro. You got a great voice. You want to sing for us? Drew, I miss Drew. He used to come to the Duster all the time, and he went through these weird phases. Like, he was a copy machine salesman.
Yes, he was.
And then he ended up selling me a copy machine, and then I'd have to call him every week to fix the fucking thing. And then in the midst, he always had these weird projects going on, and then he was hot rodding little red wagons. I don't know if you remember that, but he was like customizing like radio flyer wagons for kids and putting mags on them and making all this crazy shit.
Now he also, you remember when he bought a coffin?
Yeah, I have a huge 6-foot coffin at my house. When he did all the coffin shelving
the
and all.
King, stop.
Yeah, the Coffin Kings, that's what it was. So yeah, he got me a nice black and blue 6-foot coffin. I put some of my Jack Daniel's stuff on there. But he was a pisser, man.
Drew was a good dude. He was always, him and I were always involved. We were involved in some shenanigans, but he was always, he was tight. He was good. He was one of those people that was, I don't think I ever saw him mad, except for maybe once with Henry.
Yeah.
He and Henry McFerrin had a little bit of a falling out. And it was kind of sad. It had to do with drinking and stuff.
Well, yeah. Now they're up there fighting probably right now. Henry and Drew. Anyway, so coming from the hardcore scene, you like turned your back and became a cop. How does that work?
Were you a cop first?
No.
No.
I didn't. I actually didn't. I used to go to shows while I was working.
I know. Cooey too. He
yeah.
looked the other way on a couple things.
But listen, you try to take care of wherever you come from. You try to stay grounded. That's the only way to. I mean,
How many calls for the QE2 did you get, and you're just like, I just didn't hear that? Or you just roll up real slow.
Well, you know what? I never really got calls to there. I was the only time the police ever came there was when I was there off duty. Like if you remember, do you remember the
Duty.
the bouncer Sammy that used to bounce at QE2 when he got stabbed?
Yep.
I was there.
Yep.
And
Off duty.
well, no, I was in the thick of it. I actually ran across the street because this is another. There was a person who was a police officer who actually ended up going to prison after he left. After he got fired, and he went to prison, and he was across the street at the little pizza. You know, the little pizza place.
Zia's.
Yeah. And this was after the jihadi owned it. So.
Yeah, what was his? I think they were like Hispanic kids, right? That ran that.
Well, the kid that originally the original owner of that was a dude from Jordan, and he was like when I got divorced, he took care of me. He always made sure I had food and stuff like that, and then he got radicalized right after 9/11. And he got arrested for having guns and stuff.
Did he have the pizza place up on Lark? Did he move up there? Because I remember that place got raided.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, it was.
They ended up getting deported back to Jordan.
Jesus. So anyway, so you went from hardcore to being a cop. How does that transform?
It's not really. It's a lot of the same. I mean, it's not. It's not like I automatically. You have a lot of discretion as a police officer as to what you can arrest for. I mean, there's some things you have to arrest for. There's some other things you can let slide, and that's not in a bad way. I mean, I stopping out by the Palace Theater one night while I was working, and there was one of those hippie government mule shows, or one of those fish Anastasia, whatever whatever those shows were, and I grabbed some kids because they were peeing like in the middle of the street. And so I yoked some kid up, and he had like a dime bag on him. And I told him, I'm not going to arrest you. He thought he was going to get arrested and go to prison for this. And I'm like, dude, just stamp it on the ground, kick it into the curb.
Put it in my pocket. You can keep walking.
Roll me a joint, and we're fine. Which isn't true because I hate joints. I only use bongs. But anyway, it's not really. There really isn't a big difference, and you'd be amazed at how many cops that were all hardcore kids before they became police.
Yeah, Roger from Withstand's Saratoga sheriff. He actually came to the Life of Agony show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Trying to think who else. Well, Wrecking Machine.
No.
Wrecking Machine, NYPD. He's he was one of the cops in the helicopter, and he was one of the like those special services guy down there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else. There was somebody else that was a cop too.
There's a guy from.
Paul Bearer played a cop on TV.
But he was not naked like he was in that other movie.
He was naked in a movie?
Oh my God, you didn't know about that?
No, you have to enlighten us with that.
It's
one.
Christina. It came out like last year, a year and a half ago. Christina Ricci was the thing, and he was playing a dead guy. He was playing a ghost, and he was sitting in a bar reading a book, and
naked.
He was naked. You see his ass when he stands up to yell at the guy. He stands up to yell at a guy, and he's Paul. And he's shaking his finger in the guy's face. And it's like a 10-second shot on his ass.
I gotta get a still shot of that. That's the next year Terror Flyer.
Oh boy.
I have the movie. If you would like to,
I would definitely like to.
I will
Bingo.
send it to you. Matter of fact, when I told Paul, because I actually had the movie before it was released, and I told Paul, I'm like, hey, dude,
Is that an old cop perk?
No, it's a it's a hacking perk. I just knew where to look. I just knew where to look.
Relax, Interpol. That's like a $100,000 fine.
That's why I have a VPN on my computer.
There you go.
So I was talking to him and I said, "Hey, dude, your ass looks great in that movie." He's like, "How the fuck did you see that movie?" I'm like, "Dude."
Oh,
So I sent him a copy.
wow. I got to put that on the list. That's going to be any fuel for Paul Bearer is good fuel. So
Listen, I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that I think he's getting married.
I know October 14th. He said.
God bless him. Let him suffer just like everybody else.
I got engaged too. I know.
Oh yeah.
And what's his name?
Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer. We're getting married on October 14th. So why do cops flock to donut shops?
Well, it all started a lot because it was open when I was working for me. I was working midnights. It's one of the only things that was still open. It's like on Lark Street, just a Dunkin' Donuts right there. It's quick fuel. It's your sugar and your caffeine. That's mainly what it's about.
Makes sense.
I remember after QE2, I would meet Steve Caruso at Johnny's Hot Dogs. Remember that place?
I do.
Oh, that place would be open till 3, 4 in the morning.
That, and if you remember the cottage diner that doesn't exist anymore on Scotland Avenue.
Oh,
That was
wow.
That was
Yeah.
another place.
Jesus.
Or when Valentine's existed before it was Valentine's, when it was Harpo's.
That was a little bit before me.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I think
I never went there. I remember hearing the name on like Pix 106 back in the day. But that was Harpo's?
yeah, Valentine's was Harpo's.
So give us some tidbits, some advice to our fellow criminals out there. Like what can you say? What can you do? I mean,
Be polite.
Of course,
How much cocaine will get you off of a
silence is the way to go.
Say it's like testifying. You say as little as you need to say. Don't give anybody any more ammunition for their feel. If you get stopped, be polite, be nice. It may not always work, but you certainly, if you're nice and polite, it's a disarming mechanism for a lot of cops. Some cops are just going to rate you no matter what you do.
Yeah, a
I
lot
got
of them
stopped
got
twice in the same day last week.
same cop.
No, two different. One was a Bethlehem cop, and the other one was a Stady. They got me coming, and they got me going.
I got on the New York State Thruway. I got pulled over twice by the same trooper in the same trip to drop my son off at his mom's house. I got pulled over on the way out, and I got pulled over on the way back.
Jesus.
He didn't write me either time, but getting pulled over is no fun. It's never any fun. It's not fun. It's listen. As a cop, I would get stressed by getting pulled over.
Do you ever get a jail free card on you? You're like a little, hey, I used to be one of you guys.
My
Hey,
benevolence card.
No, I have my badge. I don't
there you
know.
go.
My old,
you're
my-
just like
my
Joe
retired-
Brady.
My retired, like who?
Joe Brady, he's a gangster rat. Gangster. He's got a badge. So, I don't know. It's just anyway. That's another podcast. Anyway,
A gangster rat.
All right,
That's
so,
not a good
so
combination.
pretty much the code of silence kind of thing. You just kind of keep quiet.
So
That's listen. If you're gonna get pinched, you're gonna get pinched. It doesn't matter if you're good, bad, or indifferent. But
you can't like bad lieutenant it. Like hope they put their hog through the window and you just give them a quick fucking little little
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
not much with body cameras. But
you do a little of this,
Just
only
grow
fans
your
the
beard
body
over
camera,
it.
just whatever,
So I had my latest situation was at DeCarlo's. It was me, Ricky, and Scott, my friends. God rest your soul, Ricky. Anyway, so we were there. We closed the place, and we didn't know that our friend Scott had developed a problem with 3 individuals inside. Whatever. So we're getting ready to leave. Lights are on. Everybody out. So we're like, okay. So we go out, and me and Rick, where's Scott? He's outside already. We go outside, and he's surrounded by these 3 dudes. And I walk over, and I'm like, what's going on? Everything all right? And apparently it wasn't. So I ended up smacking the one kid. Well, bang! I gave him a good bitch slap. They all jumped in the car and they dialed 911. I'm like, okay, whatever, bunch of jerks. So we jump in the car and they park behind us so we can't leave. So, we were there drinking for a few hours. So I'm like, get the keys out of the ignition, get out of the car, just sit on the curb. I said, we can't go anywhere. Might as well just wait for the cops. So the cops came.
And that's the colony police.
Colony cops, yeah.
That's
And they're like, hey, what's going on? They come over, and I just said to him, I said, hey, officer, I said, I just want to say I'm really tired. I'm very intoxicated. And out of fear, out of being disrespectful to you, I'm not going to talk to you. And the cop was just like, I just want to know what's going on. I'm like, I didn't call you. I don't know. And he's just like, okay. And he looked at Rick, and Rick just had his head down. He didn't say nothing. And Scott was in the back seat of the car. He didn't say nothing. They're just like, well, you got to tell us what happened. Like, just kept doing that. So they ended up, I don't know if they had to call. A detective ended up showing up. So I don't know if he was just driving by, or I don't know how it works or whatever. So this guy comes out and he goes, hey, he goes, you got your ID on you? I'm like, yep. He goes, can I see your ID? I'm like, nope. He's like, he goes, I just want to get to the bottom of this. I said, there's nothing to get to the bottom of. I said, we're trying to leave. They parked behind us. Like, well, he's saying you hit him. I go, just did that. He's just like, so they went in and they pulled the video from the fucking place because the bouncer threw us under the bus, I think.
Did they actually say, let's go to the tape?
Yeah, basically. So he comes out and he goes, all right. He goes, well, we saw the video and you obviously hit him. And I'm just like, I go, listen, man. I said, it was one of these. I said, so it's just a violation. You're not going to waste your time writing me a ticket on that. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, that would have been an assault. I said, but that, I just taught him a lesson. And he goes, listen, he goes, nobody wants to do paperwork here. Just go over and apologize to the guy. I said, I'm not apologizing for shit. I didn't do nothing wrong. I said, I did what his dad should have fucking done years ago. He goes, nope. He goes, you got to just apologize and everybody's going to go home. I'm like, So I got up and I went over to the car, 3 dudes in there. I said, listen, man, I said, I'm really sorry for slapping you like the bitch that you are. I just looked at the cop, and the cop just was like, go home. I was so over it. But as they were leaving, the one cop's like, you've been around the block before, haven't you? I go, I'm not driving. That's all I'm telling you. I'm hammered. And I just got in the car. We got out of there.
Yes, I've been around several blocks. Well, that's, there are certain calls that you go on where you're mandated to make arrests, like with domestic calls. You go on a domestic call, you have to. If there's somebody's hurt anything, you have to make arrests, and that stems from the cases where the woman, the cop showed up in some place and told everybody to break it up and go home, and then they go and the guy kills his wife. So they started making laws where if it's domestic call and you think someone's hurt, make an arrest. But other calls, you just. One night I caught some kid coming out of bogeys. I was working the college detail, and I caught some guy pissing on somebody's front door on one of the streets on one of the houses on Ontario Street, and he was good and wrecked. And
drinking with Lincoln nights.
I made him take off his shirt and clean up all the pee with his expensive shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he had no shirt on. He's walking around crying, wiping up pee. Clean it up. That's not your house. What would your mother think?
See, that's the way cops should be. They should be there to teach a lesson.
Well, you know what? You when you become a police officer, there's a you have to season into it. You start off, it's more of a hardcore thing, and everything is black and white. And as you start getting experience being a police officer, now I'm generalizing, of course, because everybody's a little different, but you ease into it. People become more knowledgeable of what you can and can't do, and what you can and can't say. And I was on the way to a burglary in progress call. This was during the day, and this guy rode out in front of me on It's the name of that street in Albany, Holland Avenue, that goes down into Morton Avenue. And this guy pulls out in front of me on Morton Avenue, and almost wrecks my car. So I'm
right by the park.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm pissed because I'm on this way to this burglary in progress call, and so I jump out of the car and I stop the guy and I go, "Give me your license." I said, "Wait here, I'll be back." And I went to the call and I kept his license and I held on to it. And when I got back there, he was waiting for me. And so I basically wrote him a couple tickets, and I said, "You know, you're an asshole." And then I gave him this again. "Here's your tickets, blah blah blah." I went on my way. Well, apparently he went to Internal Affairs.
Oh.
And his thing was that he said I called him the N-word, and I'm like, in Internal Affairs, I just went on tape. I said, "Listen, you know me. You know I wouldn't do that." I said, "I certainly called him a fucking asshole, but I didn't say that." And they were like, "Okay."
Okay.
Listen, I was. Do you remember the game show? Do you remember what's the? Anyway, there was a game show where you could. Never mind that. Not that part. But I was in Internal Affairs. I was being interviewed about an incident that took place in Albany. It was, if you remember this, there was two cops got shot on North Swan Street.
Yeah.
And they were looking for that guy. They found him in Georgia. They brought him back up. It was on. There's a couple different things that were done about it, but that morning, I came in, and we all came in early, and we started doing sweeps. We basically said we were gonna go in, round up every critter, anyone we could find, and we bring them in for every little thing because we're gonna make somebody talk. Somebody's gonna get squeezed until they gave up where this clown was, and so I got called into. I was this big internal affairs investigation, and I had to, you sit down at the table, you got a lawyer on one side, you got the cops on the other, and you got the microphone in front of you, and they're recording everything, and you have to answer. You can't say, "Oh, I don't want to testify." You automatically get fired.
Right.
So I just I was going to say something, and I just leaned into the microphone. I said, "Can I get a lifeline?" And after everybody was done laughing, they said no. And then I just told them what I was going to tell them. But I'm like, you have to have a sense of humor about shit.
Sure.
I guess.
Man, yeah. A couple of the instances I had, they did not have sense of humor.
I was
at
definitely
all.
laughing when I was doing, 80 and a 35. So that was definitely.
Listen, I was on the street about a month and a half after the academy, and there's a huge car chase going through downtown Albany. And I hear the guy, he's like, "Oh, it's a rollover." And this was a rollover near the old brew pub there, in Yono's, in that area.
Okay.
So I'm like the second cop on the scene. I got there's a cop there, and he's got his gun out, and there's 4 guys are on the ground, proned out. And all of a sudden I hear somebody say, "Hey, Chris." It was Don Sullivan, Steve Schneider, Kenny Johnson. It was all these people, Chris Gear.
Oh, shit.
Because it was Don had been driving, and Don had his hair dyed black at the time, and he had been drinking a little bit. I don't know if you knew that Don drank, but I know. And he was drinking, and he got pulled over after he rolled the car over, and they were all proned out. And I was like, "Oh man, you can't do that! How? People aren't supposed to know me like that."
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Womp, womp, womp.
So yeah, there's all those things. A friend of mine from high school, I was near Bishop McGinn. I was driving around one night working. I was working midnights, and I got a call for a person down. And I get over to near Bishop McGinn, which isn't even Bishop McGinn anymore. And there was a guy laying in the bushes, bloodied. He was so drunk he had fallen out. And I went to high school with him. I graduated high school with him. And I was like, "Oh, dude, come on. Let's go. Get in the car. You want to bring you back over here? I got to bring you home now." Yeah. There was another Troy Corps kid. Same thing. He was looking.
Bob Riley.
No.
My cousin's gotten him out of a lot of trouble.
Walking out of the Eagles.
No, my cousin pulled up on him as he was sleeping at a red light in his car, hammered.
I hear that story all the
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Well, this particular Troy person was he's known to all of us, and he had been in Albany at Mother's because there was a guy that used to bartend who's no longer with us, and he got lost in the South End. This other guy. And he was really, really drunk, and I had to pour him into the back of the car and go drive him someplace, because he was going to every house he could find. He was going and knocking on the door, asking for the person. Is he here? This is where he's supposed to be. You have no idea where you are.
And he's in Albany.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So
Wrong bridge.
At least he wasn't driving, I guess.
Yeah, huh?
So,
Unbeknownst to you.
yeah. So there's plenty of times when you run into people you know all the time, and you have most of the best cops that were ever out there were the ones that were at one point or another were a bad guy, because they know the system, they know the game.
I got a good story. So I got stopped in Colony, and this is going back probably at least a decade, at least. Anyway, so I was with a couple people. We were hanging out, drinking. And we left the one bar, and the DJ comes up. He goes, "Are you all right to drive?" I go, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Because I just watched you drink a whole bottle of Jack Daniels to your face." Oh, yeah, but it was over a span of like 2 hours. And he's just like, I go, "I'm fine." So we go, there's the other place in Albany. And I started drinking more, and all of a sudden I'm just like, you could start feeling the wave, and I'm like, I better get the fuck out of here, because I'm definitely getting drunk right now. All right, see you later, everybody. So I get my van, I'm driving. It's the middle of February. It's freaking below zero out, and I'm driving straight right down Central Ave, and I do good driving, drinking and driving. So I'm straight. All of a sudden I run out of gas. Oh, son of a bitch. So I'm like,
But at least you didn't fall asleep.
No. So I run out of gas. So I get out of the van. I start walking to the gas station. About maybe 20 yards, I go, oh, I left my wallet in the van. I turn around to get my wallet. Van surrounded by cops, because I stopped right at the exit of the highway. So I'm like, oh, the hell with that. I kept walking. So cop pulls up. He goes, "Hey, is that your van? Are you broke down, or are you out of gas?" I said, "I'm out of gas." He goes, "Hop in the car. I'll bring you to the gas station." Sure. So I hop in the car, and I'm like trying to hold my breath and keep conversation to a minimal. And I'm doing pretty good. So he drives me to the gas station, which is right down here on Lincoln and Central. And I go into the gas station. I'm like, well, I don't have a gas can. I don't have money because my wallet's in my van. So I just improvised, and I went in the back corner, and I slammed a Red Bull. And I put the empty can there, and I go up to the guy. I grabbed the gas can off the thing. I said, "Hey, I'm with that cop." I said, "We're just going to fill this up and be right back." He's like, "Okay." Filled it up, left. Basically, the cop was an accessory to stealing the gas. We get back to my van. So now I'm like, "Oh, thank you, officer, for driving me," and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm putting the gas in my thing. Well, the cop decides he wants to get out and he wants to have small talk. I'm just like, oh, motherfucker. So I'm sitting there, and I'm putting the gas in there, and now the Jack Daniels is hitting me. And I'm like, oh, boy. And I'm like starting to get the tunnel vision, and I'm just like, all right, only a couple more gallons out of this 5-gallon thing that I stole out of the thing. And I'm like, all of a sudden I start doing this. I'm like, uh-oh. Boom! I hit my head on the van. I fall on the ground. I can't get up. And the cop's like, oh. He picks up the gas can and finishes filling my van up, and I'm trying to get up.
Now that sounds like it's a public service.
Yeah, who's totally? And I'm trying to get up, and I can't. I'm fucking wasted. I'm done. I'm like falling down every time I stand. I'm doing the old, and the cop's like, what in the fuck? He goes, are you fucking drunk? I go, I'm fucking shit-faced. And he's like, he didn't see me drive. So he's like, so he finishes, and he doesn't know what to do. Now, mind you, the van is parked right in front of the exit to get off the highway. He goes, get in your van and pull it in that parking lot. I go, fuck that. I go, you do it. I'm not doing it. He goes, get in the van and pull it in that parking lot now. I'm like, I go, this is a trick. You're going to arrest me, aren't you? He's like, get in the van and pull it. He kept saying it. So I'm like, I get in the van, I pull it into the parking lot, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm turning the keys, the engine off. I took the keys, I threw them on the floor. I go, now they're not in the ignition. I'm like, my drunken wisdom. And I'm just sitting there. All of a sudden, on my window, I look, he goes, get the fuck out of the van. I'm like, you can't arrest me. You didn't see me drive. And he's just like, get out of the van. And I'm like, So I get out of the van. I shut the door. I just do this. And he goes, give me your driver's license. So I give him a driver's license. He goes, get in the car. I'm taking you home. I'm like, you're not arresting me? He goes, no, because I technically didn't see you drive. And I said, well, no, somebody else drove. And he goes, yeah, well, where are they? I go, I don't know where they went. He's just he's like, just get in the car. So I get in the car. He drives me home. I get out of the police car, and I slip on the ice. I face plant in the snow, and he just fucking drives away. He's hurt. Anyway, so the next morning I wake up, no clue what happened. I'm like, my fucking van's not in the driveway. I don't even remember how I got home. Nothing. Zero. Blackout. So I called Jeff Goodnews, who's my friend. He's a tow truck driver. I said, I don't know where my van is. I think it's on Central Ave somewhere, so if you're driving up and down Central Ave, let me know if you see my van. A couple hours go by, the phone rings. He goes, yep, I found it. Blah, 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 blah. So Chad drove me to get my van, and apparently I parked my van across all, it was this little Chinese grocery store or something. I parked my van horizontally across all the parking spots about maybe 2 feet from their front door. And it's just there, like, I'm like, oh my God. The cop just let me park it there.
Welcome to Mike's Beware of Drinking show.
I know, so I get in the van, and as soon as I turn the van on, all these yelling at me, sped out of there. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But anyway, so that cop ended up doing Denny's duty one night, and I was in there on another drunken night, and he goes, hi, how you feeling tonight? And I'm like, fine. He goes, you don't remember me, do you? I'm like, nope. Should I? He goes, yeah. And he told me, I'm like, I go, thank you. I go, can I buy you breakfast or something? He goes, don't ever let me see you drive again. So it's funny. He's been to the club a couple times. I'm like, I owe you a beer.
Yeah.
I go, every time I see you, I owe you beers.
Well, that's doing DWI arrests are the biggest pain in the ass. They really take a long time. There's a lot of little minutia to take care of, and those are the ones. But you do have a lot of leeway. I mean, you don't as much as now, but I had a guy who ran his car up on the sidewalk just about into the doors of the Spectrum Theater. And I was like, he was asleep in the car too, if you believe it. And I get him out, and I'm talking to him like, look, I don't want to arrest you. Let's park your car, and you go on your way. Come back tomorrow when you're sober and get your car. He's like, okay. So we park his car, and I said, well, yeah. So I said, I just can't trust him. So I drove around the block a little ways, and I just sat and waited for him to come back to the car. I'm like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So I said, I promised you I wasn't going to arrest you, because when I came up, I got him out of the car again and took his keys, and I threw him down the sewer. I was like, now tomorrow when you sober up, you can call a locksmith and have him come get into your car again. But I said,
still cheaper than a DWI.
That's damn right. And who knows, with these lawyers today, the DWI lawyers are getting arrested for DWI. So, the one guy whose slogan was, he's the DWI guy. I guess it's a stressful situation. You gotta
Yeah,
all
right?
these drinkers.
Oh man, I did get pulled over once and license red, and I was like, oh, I'm fucked. And he goes, hey, I like brick by brick. Here, have a good night. I'm like, I'm gonna kill somebody now.
I'm coming back from the parting glass one night, and I was a field training officer, and so this is about 3:30 in the morning. I'm in the middle of wherever, Nowhereville, in Ballston Spa, I think somewhere. I was on the way back home, and I see on the road I'm on up ahead, I see like 3 or 4 flashing lights. I just like 17 pints of Guinness in, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll just drive slow, and we'll drive by. And I'm like, I wonder.
Like in Super Troopers, you're supposed to pull over on the left side.
And by the way, Super Troopers is more like police work than any other real police movie you've ever seen in your life. There's guys getting shot with guns in their bulletproof cups, and guys drinking maple syrup. I watched a guy eat a cockroach off a wall for $20. And by the way, he went to high school with us. So, so I'm driving down the street, and and I got the brand new cop sitting next to me, who's also 3 sheets to the wind, and I was like, wondering why they're yelling at me. Why are these guys running at my car? Because I was driving over a live arcing power line.
Oh, all right. That explains a lot.
And I was told by a state trooper, after I informed him of who I was, he said, "Don't you dare kill anybody on the way home." And he let me go, and I'm like, "Okay, I won't kill anybody on the way home. I promise."
I won't kill any more people on the way home.
Anymore. As you run him over. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because I was trying to figure out why the hell he was running at my car. The guy's running. What the hell did I do? So yeah, but that was many moons ago.
Many moons.
Back when I drank.
Yeah, now you're a pussy.
I know.
Yeah, well.
Just do heroin now.
Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Like I said, we try to keep these a little short because
right, it's just a lot of stuff, and I know we there was a lot of inside baseball stuff here because we were talking more like we're friends than. But
that's
just
people will pick up on it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Did you ever arrest anybody from Syndicate? You ever hear Syndicate?
I've heard of them. No,
because they're gay. Anyway, they'd get out of it anyway.
I did gang stuff, but that was
real gang stuff.
Yeah. Listen, I remember when I was there when Tommy the Bomb Alexanian's bike got towed off
that had to be fun.
Central Avenue, and one of my old neighbors was. Do you remember Donnie Duck Marcy?
No.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but he was one of the guys that squealed on the Angels back in the day.
Whoops.
So
obviously he's not around anymore. So I don't know.
But that most of the time I didn't deal with. It was mostly Hell's Angels here or the feeder gangs, the feeder clubs.
The feeder clubs. Way better than Coalition.
Yeah. Wow. Feeder clubs.
It's like the minor leagues,
Oh, and just as a follow-up to my last podcast with the Syndicate Boobs, I did put word out to Jimmy Dorenzo to challenge me on a podcast or to challenge his ex-members on a podcast. He won't be doing it. He doesn't want to do it. Anyway, I think that would be fun.
It would. It would be fantastic.
Fantabulous. Anyway, so you played in Wolfpack. You play in Murderer's Row now.
I do.
Why don't you give some...
How that happened, I have no idea, but I'm
I
happy
wonder.
it did. Well, it was...
Murderer's Row's got more people in that... more people that were in that band than Syndicate has out bad members.
Well, Murderer's Row has their roots...
You're going to be out bad from Murderer's Row soon?
No.
Okay,
good. They're like they have their roots in hardcore, so their members there's rotating members in and around.
It's like Murphy's Law. So when you playing again? What's going on with Murderers Row?
We're working on the new CD.
New CD. What's this, like the 15th one?
8th.
That's all, you know, if you like street rock and roll, hardcore, that kind of stuff, check out Murderers Row.
Yeah, and you know, it's been for a while now, but I think our newest member who's been in for like 2 years, Leo Curley, and
Yep.
you can't ask for a more fun lead
Oh,
guitarist.
he's so solid. And he's a great electrician, too. He came over to my house and did some stuff for me, too.
Oh yeah, me too. He's a good dude. Good dude. And
Give you a thumbs up there, Leo.
and yes. I was talking with Leo. We were talking about Randy Rhoads the other day. There's on one of the video services, there's a Randy Rhoads documentary.
Okay.
And he did a post on it the other day, and I commented, I'm like, geez, yeah, April 4th, 1981 was my one and only time seeing Randy Rhoads. It was Ozzy at the Glens Falls Civic Center with Def Leppard and the Rods opening up.
The Rods. They're from upstate New
They're
York.
from Rochester. This the one guy's Dio's cousin.
Carl Canada, right? He was the drummer, I think. He was a producer, too. He did... I don't know. I remember talking to him years ago. But, yeah.
Dio's cousin twice removed.
Yeah, the Rods had a bunch of albums out, and they had that one. Power Lover was my favorite song by the Rods.
Ooh, Power Lover. Okay. There, you just ended the podcast. Power Lover.
Power lover.
And by the way, I want to thank you for bringing Anvil back to the area
Hell yeah.
again.
That was kind of an accident. That was actually a show that was at the Chance, and they were supposed to close, but now they're not closing, but I got the show, and now they're getting the contracts for the show. It's like a big mess, but... Yeah, we have it at Empire, so that'll be fun.
I look forward. I have not. The last time I saw Anvil was.
That's coming
opening,
up soon. That's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they were opening up for Aerosmith at the Glens Falls Civic Center.
Oh wow!
It was on the.
You exposed me to Anvil back in '89 or whatever the hell.
'89? No, we were in high school.
Yeah.
Before
Oh
that,
yeah. 87,
Metal on Metal.
86, 85. Jesus. Chris took me to my first hardcore show, DRI and COC, 1985. And my first Slayer show, ironically, 1985. I think I was rebelling against my parents that summer.
I think my favorite story you ever said about that, to me, it wasn't even a story, it was just that you said, and my mom came out and looked at the car, and the inside of the windows were covered with frost, and she said, "Oh my God, you're not going to get killed on the way there, are you?" And we drove out to Lost Horizon to see them play. And Overkill was the opening band.
Yep.
Syracuse.
Yeah. So,
And
Jesus.
I know.
Well, we got to kind of cut this because they're closing at 8, and I don't want to be a burden here. Even though we didn't get permission to film this here, we were helping to get kicked out. So
Fuck them.
Yeah, you know.
Fuck them.
But anyway, well,
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
this was
It
fun.
gets me out of the house, blows the stink off me. You know,
Not quite.
when I'm retired. Well, no, but
I still want to know how much coke you need to fucking get off a charge. So,
well, at least 2 liters.
there you go. A liter of cola. There's your
Super
Super Troopers.
All right.
I was going to show you some of my favorite. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know if I had told you that my car battery died, and so my beautiful chauffeur wife drove me up here in our luxurious sports car to go with this.
I know, it is pretty badass.
It's going to be nicer once it's fixed.
Wow.
We hit a deer.
Who do you want to see on the podcast? Put your
Yeah, start
Your,
sharing this shit.
yeah.
Let's build our numbers up so we can
you want to see somebody
talk some
specific?
real shit.
We'll
And fuck
we'll
you,
bring 'em
Chris
on.
Jericho.
Waka waka.
Yeah, let's get Chris Jericho on there. I dare you. Chris Jericho, Jimmy Dorenzo, who else?
That'd be a nice tag. That'd
Rick
be
to
like
Life.
Whoever we can beat up.
Harley Flanagan.
an Indian strap match.
Drag match. Put them all in dresses. Yes. Perfect.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Doctor.
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 Dr. Pepper.
Doctor. Peace.
Whoop.